Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us. We are broadcasting from the Thomas K. McKeon Center for Creativity, and I'm your host, Corey D. Taylor. My guest today is an international entrepreneur, but to some, he may be considered as an entrepreneurial rock star. He is none other than Henry Penix. He's here today to give a little inside scoop on what it takes to become a successful entrepreneur. If you're looking for an amazing show and want to know how to be successful, then look no further because you've come to the right place, because this is Oklahoma Up Close. Hello and welcome back, and we are here with none other than entrepreneur Henry Penix. How are you, sir?
Great, how are you?
Doing well. Man, well, I'm glad you're here. What have you been up to?
Well, a whole lot.
Well, we want to hear about it.
Yeah, we're doing a lot of things with our technology company, Zomm.
Okay.
I don't know if you or your listeners may know of that, but that's something that was started about 4 years ago, and was created to serve a need of people leaving their mobile phones behind.
Right.
So we went into that market with absolutely zero experience and went all over the world with it, recorded a little over 1 billion media impressions, and it's been running fast ever since.
Wow. So wait a minute. So to give us a little bit more, especially for the viewers, tell us a little bit more. Explain to us a little bit of what Zomm is so we would know, because I've heard of the name, but especially in connection with you. But, you know, you took that all around the world. So I'm pretty sure our viewers want to know, well, how did somebody take something that they had little or no experience in and take it all around the world?
Yeah, well, we had some previous business experiences, as you may know also, and we can get into that later. But for this particular product, I believe when you create something and you have an idea, that you should surround yourself with people a lot smarter than you are. Okay? So that's the first thing I did. Once we got the idea of what device could we use that's small, portable, maybe you can put it on your keychain, automatically hooks up with your mobile phone, automatically connects via Bluetooth, and then when those two things separate, so if you leave your house in the morning and you've got your keys, you put them in your pocket, and you walk away from that phone, which, as you know, is now the lifeline of your day.
Yes, sir.
I can't even remember telephone numbers anymore. I just press names, right?
Right.
So you can't leave your phone behind. So we created this device so that if you separate, you've got your keys, you're getting ready to get in your car and leave, it will actually tell you that you left your phone behind.
Wow.
So that was sort of the original idea, and then that spurred into also putting an emergency alert device on it so that if you're out anywhere, you're in the middle of an emergency, you can press a button and hold it down on the device, on Zomm, and it will automatically call 911 or anyone you program in that device. So when we found that need, we took it to the largest consumer electronics show in the world, which is CES in Las Vegas. We won the Best of Innovation Award against Toshiba, Samsung, some pretty large names.
Some heavy hitters. I mean, you all took on the big boys.
Some heavy hitters. We were sort of shaking in our boots as we were doing it because this was our first event. But back to my original point, we were surrounding ourselves with people a lot smarter than we are. So my CTO, my Chief Technology Officer, was a gentleman out of the Seattle area, and he had developed some great devices before, so we brought him on. We brought some great people on in finance. We brought some great people on in PR and marketing, and it kind of went from there. So
let me ask this question, because I'm pretty sure it's that's innovation, somewhat of invention and everything. Did you, because I know somebody watching this are going to want to know, did you all go after a patent first before you even took it on the market? How did you approach that, if you can share that?
Yeah, we did. A lot of things have to happen at once.
Right.
Of course, first you want to be protected.
Correct.
So if you ever have an idea, you always want to get what they call an NDA, or a non-disclosure agreement.
Correct.
So that means if I tell you something about my idea, you're going to sign this NDA saying that you won't tell anybody in the next 2 or 3 years, and if you do, then we're going to have some problems.
Correct.
So that gives me the right to at least show you the idea and socialize it, because you got to do that to draw people around it. You have to tell them about it first. Once you do that, then it's very important to protect that idea with a patent. So there's utility patents and there's design patents. we could do this whole show just on that.
No, but this is interesting.
But
Go
I've got great legal counsel. We used Holland and Knight out of the Boston area, but the design patent is actually on the design of the thing. So the design of that coffee cup is so big, so wide, will hold so much coffee and have the handle just right. That's a design of it.
Okay.
So that's a design patent. The utility patent explains what it actually does. So when it sounds an alarm, when our product sounds an alarm, when it's so far away from the user, that gets into the utility or the purpose of it, and that's another patent.
Wow.
Third step is the trademark. So you actually trademark the name with the USPTO, the government office, that actually trademarks the name. So you've got design patent, utility patent, and trademark. All those have to come together. Everyone you talk to needs to be under NDA so they don't say anything to blow your idea or steal it, and then you can take the next step to get it to market.
Wow, so wait a minute. So did you have all of this knowledge prior to this because of other business adventures, or was that all new to you, getting what?
Absolutely not.
Right, because you seem to be well versed in it right now, because I've taken some patent classes from some lawyers, and I'm like, oh, he owned it, you know?
Yeah.
So was it hard? So did your people around you that you centered yourself around, were they the ones who started explaining this to you and giving you guidance, or did you just say, I need to research all of this so I can make sure we're protected?
I'm naturally curious, so I knew there had to be something to it. So I'm real big on having mentors, and I believe in following people who have done something successful before you, not to copy them, but to complement what they've done.
Correct.
And to sort of figure out, okay, now I know they took certain steps. I know Bill Gates took certain steps when he said, I want there to be a computer on everyone's desk in America.
Right.
I know he took certain steps. So our patent attorney happens to be the people that does a lot of his IP work.
Oh, wow.
So I said, okay, let's get into that. Let's find somebody who's well versed in that. Let's find some of the best legal advice we can make. The first call's always got to be a free one, because you're not for sure, all right?
Right.
You got to tell them that up front, and that needs to be your longest conversation, because there's no, $500 an hour is a lot to pay for an attorney.
Well, I'm hoping the viewers are listening to this, because you're giving them some advice that you paid for. So have a free loan conversation.
Mail your checks to P.O. Box. I'm teasing you. So we surrounded ourselves with people a lot smarter than we were legally, from a technical standpoint, and they started to pour into the idea and come up with new ideas. So I'm the guy that sits down in a room. I want to have everyone around me smarter than me, and then I want to look at all of those ideas and then form the best out of what I've heard. I may get 10 ideas but only accept 1 or 2, because that comes down to ultimately my decision.
Correct.
You can't have anyone else telling you how to run your company or spend your money, but you can have them give you options to then which you have to look internally, meditate about it, pray about it, and say, okay, these are the areas that I'm going to pursue, because that's what my gut tells me. That's what I want to pursue. And if I'm right, I'll be really right, and if I'm wrong, I'll take all that blame as well.
Wow. So now let me ask this question, because are you originally from Tulsa, Oklahoma?
I am.
Wow. Because I know our viewers are going to be like, well, that's cool that guy's doing all that, but he could not be from Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Right.
Because you are an innovator, and you're inventing things and things of this nature, and then you all took it all around the world. I mean, how does that happen so our viewers would know that it's possible for them as well?
No, absolutely. I think all things are possible, and if we ever get into my whole story, growing up where I couldn't afford $130 worth of wedding rings, I had to put them on a 12-month charge.
Wow.
And then the person I bought them from had to lie on the third application, the credit application, because she felt sorry for me.
Wow.
She said, this guy's got to get something going on here. So I couldn't afford $12 a month in payments to pay for rings way back in the day. So that's kind of where I came from. So I say that to say this: if I can do it, anyone on this earth can do it. Stay humble. Stay adamant about the direction that you want to go. Don't get so full of yourself on the way up, because you'll meet those same people on the way down. and life is a cycle. It always cycles in and out. So when we went to the CES show and surrounding myself with people a lot smarter than I was, we just took it a step at a time. We gave it our best foot forward. We applied to actually win the contest. A lot of people, their first time out, they just want to get seen. They're not even about winning a contest, but I want to win. I think if you're going to be a bear, you might as well be a grizzly.
Right.
Right? So if you're going to go for it, then go for it. And so we went for it. We went for the top honors, and we wound up receiving those. So when we did, it started to draw national and international attention. There were people flying in from Europe. We were there for 4 days. There were people who saw us the first day, flew in from Europe just to be resellers of ours in Europe because they loved the idea so much.
Whoa, wait a minute. So going into all of this, you know, and you're surrounding yourself around all of these people that are smarter, as you put it, like what made you say that this is even possible? Because some people can't even get to that phase, because you said we're going to take it steps at a time, but there was something in you that says, man, we're going to go after it. Like you said, if you're going to be a bear, be a grizzly.
Right.
What is that?
Yeah, I think it started back when I was 8, 9 years old and I had my own lawn mowing business. I was always entrepreneurial minded and always thought like an entrepreneur. So I would use the first couple of months getting some of the accounts set up when I was mowing lawns, and then I would hire my friends, pay them half of what I was getting paid from the person to do the lawn, and have them mow the lawn for me, okay? So I kind of had that in my system and in my spirit all my life, that entrepreneurial drive. But in addition to that, I'm a Christian. Mm-hmm. I don't know if this is a faith-based show or what, but
you can say what you need to say. This is your time. Talk.
Okay. I'm a Christian, and there's a great faith that rises up in me that says all things are possible, and all things will work together for our good.
Okay.
Okay. So if you go out and if you really believe that and internalize that, you know, number one, that all things are possible. If you're going to be a bear, be a grizzly. Go out there and hit it big and hit it hard. Okay. You also know that if something happens where you don't really get that goal, or you don't really achieve that, or whatever goal you set before yourself, you don't really obtain it, you know that all things are going to work out for your good. So I'm going to learn something in that process that's going to help me and that's going to work out for my good the next time I try it.
Right.
So I can't lose.
Wow.
I set the goals big enough, I get the team around me, and I know that even if it doesn't work out, I'm going to learn something very important that's going to teach me on my next endeavor or my next shot at that same goal. And to never give up. You know, a lot of people give up on the 2-yard line, and if they would have taken just one more step, they would have got it. That one more breakthrough, that one more deal. So a lot of people get anxious. They say, hey, I need this done yesterday. As you know, we live in a microwave mentality.
Right.
I want it in 2 seconds.
Right.
You know, if my dinner isn't done in 2 seconds. I mean, I remember when my mom used to cook dinner, it would take 3 and 4 hours. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like she would put it all together, and she would boil her potatoes, and she would, you know what I mean?
And go outside and play while I'm doing it.
Right, exactly. Take time to let that culminate. But now we live in a microwave mentality where everybody wants it yesterday.
Right.
Okay? And they're not willing to wait for anything. They're not willing to let the process proceed. So if you're willing to let that process happen and know that you're going to learn in that process, and you've set a goal high enough to cause you to reach for it, then the only thing that keeps you connected to that thing, for me, is my faith in God, knowing that all things will work out for my good and that I know I'm going to succeed on some level with this. A lot of times I win, and a lot of times I learn that lesson. But I keep my ears open, I learn the lesson, and I use it on the next deal.
Now, that's interesting that you said that. You said because a lot of times I win and a lot of times I learn the lesson, but you didn't say a lot of times I lose. So
no,
is that kind of...
You never lose.
Okay, because I want to go there, because there's going to be someone that is listening to you, the viewer, and they're going to say, yeah, I hear what he's saying, but what about fear?
Right. Now, fear, every time you wake up, you've got 2 things pulling at you: fear and faith. Fear will always pull you back in your past, say you're not good enough, you're not educated enough, you're not young enough, you're not old enough, you're not white enough, you're not black enough, you're not green enough. Fear will always pull you back and try to give you a reason not to move forward. Every morning, we both wake up with it. Mm-hmm. Faith always says, those things don't matter. If you put your face toward the front and start taking steps toward that ultimate destiny that I have in plan for you, and you take those steps to reach out and grab the goal that you've set before you, and you're not going to give up, you have to let go of fear. Because you can't, if you could imagine 2 things pulling you in opposite directions, faith back or fear back and faith forwards, if you try to hang on to both of them, you're going to be a mess.
Wow.
You're going to be pulled apart. But if you can let go of fear and let faith pull you forward, you're going to start walking down that path. But you have to make that decision.
Now, let me digress a little bit, because when you created this, I understand that you went on Shark Tank, which
Right.
is a very popular television show. So share a little bit about that, because, I mean, I can just imagine our viewers saying, you know, this is all well and good what he's saying and everything, but like, this guy went out there and did it, and how did he do it? And I'm hearing you say these are some principles that you live by in your life.
Right.
But how did you take all of that and then you get the attention of Shark Tank?
Well, that's how we got the attention of Shark Tank.
Okay.
So we did all of those things for 3-4 years, and then Shark Tank actually started calling us.
Okay.
So they called us for about 3 months. Would you want to go on the show? Would you be willing to go on the show? We didn't go to any tryouts. We didn't do that like they're doing now. Like, they called us because we were getting international attention based on those tenets that I just told you.
Right.
Okay. So Shark Tank, I'm under NDA with them.
Okay.
So I can't explain a lot publicly.
No, please, I understand.
Of what happened. But through that whole process, we went into Shark Tank. It was great exposure. We had some great things happen. We had some other things happen that you know, we learned.
I like that.
And
you
I-
really will not say we.
And
Go
I
ahead.
can stop right there. But we
learned.
learned
Right.
and used it on our next endeavor, and was very successful. So
Wow. And so you did some other TV stuff. Was it QVC? All of these different things. What are some of the other things
yeah,
you did?
we went on QVC. I did probably 30 or 40 shows on QVC. We started setting records on QVC for the volumes that we were doing. We built up where normally you might do, you know, $2,000 or $3,000 a minute. We built that up doing to $35,000 a minute in volume.
Whoa. $35,000 a minute?
Right.
Wow.
Yeah, I had 2 10-minute segments. We averaged 35,000 a minute each, or we did a little over 700,000 in 20 minutes.
Whoa. That's kind of stunning, man. And so, whoa, wait a minute. So did you ever in your mind fathom this having this much success, though?
I did. I had those hopes. I had it where I thought that could really happen. I learned from the first episode we taped, where we barely made 2,000 a minute, barely was called back, to learning on each show, so that my 30th show or whatever it was, we started setting those records.
So did you learn through how you presented the product, or what were some of the things you learned? Because I'm pretty sure there's other people that are salesmen.
Yeah.
Because when you're on QVC, you're selling. Like,
Right,
you're
right.
on TV, but you're selling. So can you give us a little bit of those sales nuggets?
Well, I think there's something around, I think there are around 193 million viewers, or one of the largest TV networks out there.
Right.
So your first show is just learning how not to pass out or throw up. So when you got that down and you can stop your knees from shaking, then your second show is much better.
Is it a live show?
Oh yeah.
And so which you would have to worry about passing out or
Yeah.
throwing up. You know, so when you went on the show the first time, you know, you were shaking and everything.
Oh, it was horrible.
But, and it was only 10 minutes?
6 minutes.
6 minutes.
Yep.
Whoa! And it frightened you.
Oh yeah. I didn't want to ever come back.
So what made you come back? Because you were determined to win because you're the Grizzly?
Yeah. When I got back and I reassessed it, I said, okay, this is giving us great exposure. I think we could do better next time. You know, let me tweak it a little bit. Let me try to stay more comfortable. And as you know, once you do shows enough times,
Correct.
you learn to relax, and you can use that energy in a positive way.
Right.
If you're there just so afraid, and you get people talking all over themselves and they don't know what they're saying, you know, it's horrible. So I thought, okay, everything in my life I've built during a process, and it's always been a growth process. I've always started with A and went to B, C, D, E, all the way through to Z. That's been my life. The A phase, it's always the scariest. It's always the hardest. It's always the hardest to learn something. But when you get to B, based on something you've learned from A, it gets a little easier.
Correct.
When you get to C, based on what you've learned from A and B, it gets easier. D, E, F, G. Go on down the alphabet. So by the time you get to Z, which is the first letter in Zomm.
Plug. I got
you get better. So the thing is again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but never to give up, and never, even if that first time scares you, no matter what you're doing, no matter if you're interviewing for a better position, or if you're about to ask someone out on a date, or if you're about to create a product. This is everyday life skills. So many people get so afraid, and they become introverted, and they become scared, and they lose that energy, they lose that passion, so they can't get anything out the door. They can't do anything. So just take that first step, even if it's a baby step, and get out there and push through your fear. Let go of fear and grab onto faith. Push through just enough to get that second one under your belt. And then you do it a third time, then you do it a fourth, then you do it a fifth. I worked for a Fortune 150 corporation, and I worked my way up. The first year I was rated in the top 2% of the whole corporation in sales. But I got there from being turned down so many times. I was turned down 1 out of every 50 times. I was turned down, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times. I would come in the office with my head down and thinking, what am I going to do? How am I going to be successful here? And because I learned on each one, and I took that into the next phase of my life, I started setting records at that company. So I was either powerful and great enough to keep going, or I was either like really stupid enough to think I could keep going. So whichever one it was,
you did.
I don't care. I did it, and it got results.
So you are the co-founder, and obviously your wife is the other part of that. So how did you all pull that together? Because a lot of times people think when you're working a full-time job and the wife is working a full-time job, or whatever the case may be, that they can't go and have this level of success. And you all are proving that that's actually not true. So how did she buy into it, or was it just a family effort?
Yeah, well, in life you have to take everything a step at a time. Mm-hmm. So for people who can't quit their day jobs, you work at night. You work on weekends. You try to get everybody to buy in, and you develop it at a certain pace, the pace that you can. If you've sold a company, or you're at a position where you can just work part-time and do this part-time, that's another level. If you can stop everything you're doing and work on that full-time, it's going to go much faster, but not always everybody can do that. So what we did, it was actually her idea initially.
Wow.
She said there should be some sort of Bluetooth device that tells us if we're moving away from our keys, and how can we build that up. And then when she handed it over to me for the business perspective, I said, okay, let's find the smartest people in the world in this. I called and talked to guys who wrote books on Bluetooth technology, on books that had done things like this before, and actually talked to the authors. I said, I want to talk to you specifically, tell you my idea. I'll fly you to Tulsa. We'll buy in, we'll have dinner. I want to sign my NDA. Let's talk about it. And if you want to join the team, let's make this thing happen.
Wow.
So after we did that, we brought everybody together. We had certain people join the team. Additional things were found that the Zomm could do, and we added those to it. We added those to our patent pool. We added those to our IP. We added those to our trademark, our design mark, et cetera, and just began to build. So
how did you generate funds to do, you're flying people in and things of that nature? How did you do all of that?
Well, from previous business successes,
okay,
I had some monies to get started. What I found, though, is that if you have a great idea, that will draw great people to you. So you don't always need the funds to go out and do that, but when you get to a certain level and funds are required, you keep talking to other people. You keep expanding your network. You go out and tell people about what you want to do. We have our pro formas say that we're going to need $10,000 to make it to this next level. And if we do, I'd like to have you as an investor in my company. If we make it to this next level, we'll both, shake hands and share in that success together, and then we'll go to the next level. Maybe the next level we need $100,000, but now we've got a track record. I did what I said I was going to do with that $10,000, so now we need $100,000 to go on to the next level. You value your company and move it to that next level, get funds to take it to the next level. Now, with this success, and I always ask this bombshell question, did you ever in this process kind of lose your head? Every day. No, but I'm not talking about it in a positive way. I'm talking about
I'm talking about
arrogance. Oh, arrogance.
Right.
No.
You know, because some people get the big head. Because, I mean, you've had a lot of success. And, I mean, you talked about, like, with Zomm, it was like 4 years. But, like, some people can't handle that. You know what I mean? And they crash and burn with arrogance. So you've never had one of those situations?
I'm sure I have. I mean, I'm sure there's been moments in time when I'm sitting around and, you know, paying the salaries that we're paying and knowing that those people are presenting me ideas. You know, I'm sure it probably got me to a certain level. Not that I'm aware of. I never had anyone come up to me and say, you're too arrogant, or, you know, you better watch this, you better watch that. So it's, I think growing up how I did, you know, from nothing, like I appreciate nothing.
Wow.
And I appreciate the people who have nothing because I was that person.
Right.
So I think because of that, if you keep a fresh sense of where you came from, you'll never lose where you're going to.
Now, you, and I want our viewers to know this, so not only do you do business, but I understand that you travel around the world doing speaking and stuff like that. How is that going?
Good, good. I fly out in about 4 weeks to New York. Then I'll be in London for 3 days, and then I go to Vienna, and I'm going to do a Central European tour. So
just on speaking?
Yeah, just speaking. Doing inspiration. If I can make it, so can you. Some of the things that we've had the time to touch on today, I'll dive down a little deeper into those areas and give people the real meat they need to really get from where they are now to where they want to go in life.
Wow. So would you say that all of this spawns from your faith?
Most of it does, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And just life lessons of learning and not having failures, but just learning experiences.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you heard of Edison, you know, who created the light bulb.
Correct.
They asked him, they said, how could you have failed 10,000 times? He said, I didn't fail 10,000 times. I found 10,000 different ways that didn't work.
Right.
So he learned. And if you look at that as a learning process, you learn, you combine that with faith, you stay humble, you remember where you came from, you always help people when they need help, and you take it a step at a time and a day at a time, and know that you'll either win big, or you're going to learn something.
Well, Henry, man, I will tell you that I have been inspired by you today, and I want to thank you so much for coming and visiting us today.
Thank you very much for having me. All right.
I hope you've enjoyed our show today. I would like to thank our guest, Henry Penix, for joining us. Think about this. Change is inevitable, but your attitude towards that change, it is always optional. Until next time, keep looking forward.